Hey guys, Nerd here. Just wanted to let you know that I'm alive. And yeah, so I'll be gone most of June, unfortunately, doing some training. But I will be back in July, and I will be making videos in July and August. So I want to show you I've done career mode. This had MechJeb installed, but I only used it on actually one mission, which was after I unlocked everything because I felt bad for installing it. One of my ships I had made in the previous version had MechJeb on it, and so it wouldn't load. Anyway, notice I have 1,000 science. We're gonna go check out Minimalist, which is here, and they're coming back from what was it, Drez? Yeah, Drez. Man, I am out of it. Alright. Hopefully what happened last time won't happen again. So we have a maneuver coming up. I'm gonna save it. Because the last time I loaded this, it did a really, I've had this recently, the screen blacks out and it gives me 66666 on the altimeter, which of course can't have none of that. So, yeah, so in this is Jebediah, and there are actually two other guys. They're not listed there. They're in there. There they are, John B. and Wilgan. It's a pretty cool design. Was just messing around. I actually didn't use the lander. I landed the entire thing and had a really janky takeoff. I notice how I'm missing these two docking ports on this side. Yeah, that's because I landed sideways, and landing wasn't the tricky part. It was taking off again. Everything got destroyed on. So they're flying back from Drez. It's the second landing I've made on Drez, actually. Haven't gone to Elu. Haven't gone to... I've gone to Bop and Pull around Jewel. Sent a probe to Lathe. Gone to Duna once or twice. Of course, Kerbin. Look at all that debris orbiting Kerbin. And haven't visited any of the inner planets. So, it's just where I've been. So yeah, these guys will be fine. That's where they are currently. And then I just wanted to show you that I have not lost a single Kerbal. It was very important to me. And now I'll show you some of the cooler builds. So, I think Fast 3 was the coolest one. Probably. And this looks... So this was not made using part clipping, even though there is parts clipping going on. We're going to go ahead and fly this baby. And this is insanely maneuverable. Again, use SAS. We're going to throttle up. I can take off on 1/3 speed. I'm just hands off right now. You can look at the controls, they're all normal. And there we go. And so I can, right off the bat, I can just floor the pitch. And this thing does not have any issues performing. We're going to get a little close to the ground here. Oh, that's not what I meant to show you. I meant to fly it. Yes, I know. I killed a Kerbal. But I didn't. It never happened. Bill ceased to exist for a little bit. He actually had a really funny rescue attempt, but maybe I'll throw the picture in at the end. So yeah, this thing is quite maneuverable. Pulls like 22 Gs, and I'm dead. And let's, I'll stop messing around now. Kill Bill. After being in college for another year, I've only grown to be more sarcastic and more humorous, I think. Well, to me at least. I'm humorous to me. For me, I suppose. Let's pull a really tight turn here. Look at those G's. Ah! I just like crashing this thing. Alright, well, let's go back to the space plane hangar, shall we? So now with the new buffed ion engines, you can actually make stuff with ion engines. And yes, this plane flies during the day. In fact, I'll show it to you. You're just going to have to make it day, of course. Kind of important. Alright. Get the sun out. High noon is its best flight. In fact, a little behind high noon. So we'll call that high noon. So it actually works without 2 engines, I think it is. Anyway, and also has science on. We're going to go ahead and monitor our resources. This is full throttle right here. As you can see, 3 layers of wings, along with extra solar panels on the end. I thought I might get into space. Lots of xenon. We're going to pitch up here. And hopefully, yep, there we go. Starting to take off, you can see front wheel. It doesn't get going very fast. I hoped it would get into orbit just from the atmosphere getting thinner, but alas, none of my hopes and dreams were founded at all, especially considering it relies a lot on lift. But yeah, so the new Ion spacecraft, you can actually fly it places. It's not terribly maneuverable, but it flies. You'll notice that I have used 0 energy so far, and this actually does a lot of sliding. So you have to use yaw, a lot like the Wright brothers plane. They actually had issues controlling their yaw, and it would like to, when they rolled right, it would actually see how we start sliding. Yeah, they actually crashed one of theirs due to that, I believe. Don't quote me on it. But you know, we're getting up pretty fast. We're going 53.9, and just to prove that it's not infinite glide, I'm going to angle it up. I mean, yes, SAS, but we're just gonna let it kind of do its thing. So I'm gonna just tap it every now and then. We're gonna climb a little bit, but you notice it's maintaining its speed when it's losing its pitch. I could trim it, but you know, so like that. Obviously not infinite glide. So anyway, we're gonna come in and actually land this. See, Bill's still alive and well. I don't know if we'll land on the runway, but we'll try. And yeah, there are no rockets. Oh, see, we angled away from the sun. Now we want to charge up. We have to angle back towards the sun. So I'm actually gonna throttle down just a little bit. I think we're perfectly fine, but you never know. Notice I have all the science on this. So this would be actually a good explorer craft for various biomes, but you also notice in the short amount of time we've used a lot of fuel. I think they may have upped the xenon consumption and down the electricity consumption, which is fine because xenon is fairly light. I can just strap more xenon containers on, but eventually they start adding up. So you notice how we're going almost 16 meters per second. Cut and thrust. This thing glides fairly well. I mean, it kind of has to. And we're coming in a little off center. Here we go. And of course, Bill can't see anything. That's, you know, the way it works. Kerbal. I think my lights are. No. Oh, yeah, let's just blind everything. So we're gonna nice 3-point touchdown, hopefully. Look at this, it's still gliding. Yeah. Bam. All 3 at once. We'll apply the brakes. And then we'll revert flight. I really don't want to go through recover and then back to the spaceplane hangar. That'd be nice if you could revert or recover to spaceplane hangar or something like that. Mind you, this is career mode. I've just unlocked everything. So what other fun ones are there? There's this one, which I actually put Bill in before, and I was showing a buddy. Okay, so the main stage is the center area. These 2 things are the main stage, along with all these nukes and these tiny little missiles and these giant missiles. So there are no parachutes, you'll notice. I sent this up. I knew it was suborbital. I was like, I'll just revert flight after showing my buddy. Well, guess what? We followed one of the boosters all the way to the ground, and we couldn't revert flight, so we had to reload the quick save when it was in a very suborbital path. And I tried everything. I tried using the nukes to thrust up as it landed, but to no avail, and Bill was still dying every time. So we in the simulations, you know what I mean. So what I ended up doing was I ended up taking Bill out of the capsule My friend actually suggested this. He does play Kerbal. Maybe I'll get him on sometime. Yeah, he is actually going to be working for Boeing soon, which is sweet. As an intern. So I got the guy out, and in space I put him facing the blue tip of this. You'll see a picture. And fired them off as this was falling back into the atmosphere. And this not only went orbital, but it also went, it also broke Kerbin's sphere of influence. Well, its orbit did anyway. So what I ended up doing is using Bill's jetpack fuel to push him back into a highly elliptical orbit, and then I sent a rescue craft out his way. There aren't really any more interesting ones. The fighter just has a couple missiles on it. Dragsta is an early version of Fast. So now we'll head over to my VAB. And this was the first real rocket program I had successfully worked from the start. So we're going to go into VAB, and I'll take you through all the progressive steps. So I believe the first one that I ever did, it wasn't Orbiter, or was it? Let me look through. Yes, I believe it was Orbiter. So, Orbiter 1, it actually gets to orbit. Or it gets really close, I don't remember exactly. But it was really cool to fly. These help get out of the thick atmosphere, but the added mass isn't enough to be concerned about. So next we upgraded to the 1A, which I believe is the first one to actually make orbit. That used a little help. Similar design though, had science on it. Science! And then the Orbiter 1B, the last iteration of my orbiter design, very similar. In fact, it may be the same. Whatever. I'm sure there's some difference. So then I started going to the moon. However, I did not call it Kerpalo, that's a recent build. I called it Moonshot 1. And believe it or not, this actually makes it to the moon. It uses most of the fuel in the outer stages. This like gets it into orbit and shoots it at the moon partway. This finishes the moon burn, deorbits me from the moon, lands me, and then the center gets me back. That worked first try as well, which was I was quite amazed. Then I did a moon base. I actually hopped this around a couple times. And I'll throw another screenshot in of this getting refueled. So this is the base. I never actually put guys in here, so it was dead weight, unfortunately. But I had to refuel this while I was on the moon to get it back. And I would just go to different biomes. And I'd land and I'd get science and use the science thing to refresh it. So then, you know, there's a docking port in the middle. Then I had to use this to refuel it. And I actually landed on top of it. Here's the pic. Okay, so after that I started going interstellar, and what I'd do is I'd barely get my orbit out of Kerbin, and then I'd reverse thrust right as soon as I got all my science and bring it back. So there's the first one, and then these two are almost identical. I actually took Kerbals there for the EVA reports and the crew reports. And I usually landed with most of this fuel up here. So again, all those are successful. Next I actually made an asteroid grabber thing, and that was Asteroid Hunter 1. And I actually ended up going to Duna with this inadvertently. There weren't any good asteroids in the area, and I had a Duna transfer window, so I went. And it barely came back. But it came back. Let's see what else we got. Duna 1's the exact same thing almost, except it was like half built. It was almost identical. And then for all my subsequent missions, including to, I hate when that happens, Jewel, including to Jewel and Drez, is this thing. A bit of an upgrade. But there's science, there's a lander, rather complicated, but it was pretty cool. I went around Jewel with this and landed on Bop and Pull with the same lander, stuff like that. That's basically it. This is fun, we're gonna fly this. I was experimenting with this yesterday. So remember, I've gone to the moon and like smacked into it at like a couple hundred meters per second, and had the guy survive with the in the pod. we're gonna actually go fly this. So it has a mech jib on it. I just used it for the Delta V. I probably should get rid of it. Anyway, we have, where's the Delta V? Whoa. We had, oh, why did I do that? I should have gone to lunch. Anyway, we have like 200 meters per second of Delta V with the escape towers. And the escape towers I'd use too, because they give asymmetric thrust on the one side. So I had to have them equal each other out. So we're gonna go ahead and launch this. Crap. Oh yeah, it was, these guys need to go first. We're gonna go ahead, we're gonna point 270, we're gonna burn all the fuel in this tank, and we're not gonna extend our land range. I put the docking ports there because I thought it might absorb some of the impact because they kind of bounce up and down when they hit the ground. But you'll see. So we're gonna speed up time so as not to bore. So now we're not going to use the side decouplers, but we're going to point vertically. I was kind of experimenting it for a moon landing or something, but a lot of times the engines don't survive, so it wouldn't be very viable. So here we go. I'm going to get to like 0 feet almost right now, and that slows us down. It actually gives us 60 meters per second of vertical velocity because of all the Delta V. And now we just hope and pray. But it's a lot less hope and pray and more like it works. Or at least it should work. See, the guy lives, but as I noted earlier, the engines get destroyed. So yeah, that's fun. And that's about it, guys. I really don't have anything else. I'm really sorry that I couldn't make videos recently, but life is life, and I gotta roll with it. So, yeah, if you have any questions, feel free to comment. I'll try and answer them tomorrow, or today rather, but I'm actually going to be disconnected from internet and everything, and no, it's not basic training, but it's kind of close. Yeah, thanks for watching, like, whatever, I'm not going to say that. Alright guys, take care, thanks for watching.